All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host Eric Rodriguez here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about all things about professional wrestling. So, hope you guys having a great week. It is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. We are yet done with another week, so something to be excited for. We have WWE SummerSlam right around the corner. We also have SmackDown tomorrow. So a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. On tap today, we have our AEW Dynamite review. We also have my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, Step into the Ring of TNA, and also the world of Ring of Honor. And then we're going to talk about some potential SummerSlam rumors that are heading around, that are kind of circulating around the professional wrestling industry and news media and stuff like that. So we're going to dig into that. And then we're going to talk about, recently Triple H has unveiled that WWE Survivor Series is heading toward Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it's going to be War Games. So I see a Bloodline Civil War in War Games. So I don't know if we're going to get it. I think I'm like 85% sure we're probably going to get that match right then and there. So we're gonna dig on into that, maybe a little bit of like a predictions, what's gonna happen, how the team's gonna form, what's gonna happen heading up to it. So we're just gonna have a little bit of fun with that. And then our fifth segment on a Thursday, we do it every Thursday. My Thursday Superstar Spotlight. Today we're gonna talk about the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me your projected storylines. Maybe something you want to see in terms of professional wrestling. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the show, also the network, the GSMC Sports Network. Also leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the way. So don't be afraid to leave a chat. Obviously, leave a tip. Donate. Anything's greatly appreciated. The only thing I really care about is hearing your guys' opinions. Chat about anything. Hell, even give me a shout out of where you're listening from tonight. So yeah, just be super cool with it. It's gonna be awesome. With a lot of audience engagement, it makes the show that much better. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start with our AEW Dynamite review. So of course, it seems like it's kind of becomes something that's kind of natural in terms of like an AEW Dynamite episode. You had MJF come out, start things off. He had he has a habit of showing off first on Dynamite. So he came out, he was talking his trash, of course, like that, but this mostly just set up the Will Ospreay match. You saw Will Ospreay chase him out of the ring, told him that he was not a real international champion, that he could care less about, other countries than American, and ironically, he changed the championship to the American Championship. And then you saw Ospreay defeat Lance Archer, which was kind of crazy. But after the match, you saw MJF sneak attack Will Ospreay. Then out of nowhere, you saw his bruv Kyle Fletcher from the Don Callis family came in to kind of help him out, even the odds a little bit. And I thought it was pretty crazy how MJF called him a wannabe Will Ospreay. They kind of do look alike. One's from Australia. I'm not 1,010% sure where Will Ospreay is from. Don't want to say something, obviously that's inaccurate or whatever. So, and now they have a match. They have a match next week on Dynamite. And MJF, he's not going to walk away just unscathed. Kyle Fletcher is, he was a prestigious Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He's going to go in there. He's going to give you all he got. Would be kind of a shocker if he ends up with the dub, but more than likely, I don't think that I see that coming. It seemed like he had to convince Don Callis to come out. He said, look, I know he asked out of the family, but in reality, Will Ospreay is my brother. And Don Callis, he didn't really look too happy about it. Obviously, he got a handshake from Will Ospreay, so maybe there's some animosity, buried between the two. So no, it was a great starting segment. It was a great starting match. Lance Archer, I thought was going to come out with a little more pop, but Will Ospreay, he's the aerial assassin. You know what I mean? Like it's not weird if Will Ospreay starts off Dynamite with the win there. Next, you see a promo. You see a backstage promo between the Learning Tree, the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, and also the Big Redwood, Big Bill, and Chris Jericho. 102 days as the FTW champion. And I think I heard him say it's like one of the longest reigns, if not the longest reign of an FTW champion. I'm not too sure if I heard that correctly, but I thought that was kind of cool. Next, we see Kris Statlander taking on Willow of Nightingale, a CMLL Women's World Championship Eliminator match. And of course, much like I predicted, I knew Stokely was going to get involved. I knew Kris Statlander was going to get this match because, heading toward AEW All In, it's the biggest event in AEW. So it seemed fitting to kind of have those two superstars that's been, eking at each other since Kris Statlander stabbed Willow of Nightingale in the back at Double or Nothing. So now we have the match set. We're gonna have, for the CMLL World Women's Champion. Of course, if it wasn't for that chain around Kris Statlander's fist, Willow of Nightingale probably would have picked up the victory. But I see why they did. I see why they did it. So next thing you see Bryan Danielson come out, a little somber mood. Everyone's, was expecting him to kind of retire. And to be honest, I kind of thought he was going to as well. He came out and he was talking about his contract and stuff like that. His contract is actually it's up as of today, August 1st. And he was talking about the promise he made to his daughter, excuse me. Daughter he made the promise he made to his daughter, the promise he made to his wife, and he said that he's given everything he's had to AEW, and AEW was the best last years of his career. I definitely, loved how he was able to kind of stand on the ledge and say that. And he deemed it. He said that this is going to be his last shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, you saw Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, come out, just give, kind of give respect to Bryan Danielson, but at the same time, just tell him like, hey, although, your career, he put his career on the line, career for championship. And, just because you put your career on the line doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to take it easy on you just because you're this big, baby face in terms of, AEW now because, you're fighting your career. It doesn't really matter. I'm still going to try to get in your head. I'm still going to, make it personal like Swerve Strickland does. Like he always says that when it comes to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, it's always personal. Like he does not want to lose that championship. He is the tippy top dog in AEW. So, it doesn't really surprise me there a little bit. And he said, I promise I will never wrestle again. And then he said, honestly, keep your promise with, not with me, but keep your promise with your family. And everybody was getting, oh man, everybody was getting all the Swerve hate. But then he still had, some of the Swerve heads out there. The Who's House? Swerve's house. Who's? I thought, it was overall, I thought it was a great promo. Great way to set up AEW's, main event All In. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then you saw Bryan Danielson obviously caught up in the moment, frustrated as hell. Went backstage. Double J came up to him and congratulated him for going all in, not having one foot in the door, one foot out of the door. Like Double J criticized him 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. But Bryan Danielson, he looked very upset. He looked very upset. Looked very frustrated, seeming like he kind of gave into the peer pressure a little bit. He kind of he bought what Double J said, his pump up speech and stuff like that. So, definitely feel for Bryan Danielson. Obviously, he's going to have the match with Double J, all the matches he possibly can until, hopefully not the end of his career, but, in terms of his neck injury and stuff like that, and what the doctor said, like we have to make sure your neck stays fixable because if it doesn't, then you're kind of crap out of luck there. So, I just want the best for Bryan Danielson's health. Hopefully, for his family, for his wife, and all that stuff. So, moving on, we have Roosh, Beast Mortos, and Roderick Strong defeating the conglomeration or Orange Cassidy, Tomohiro Ishii, and also the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe. Overall, it was a great match. A lot of action. Definitely love how Mark Briscoe is able to light up an arena. Definitely love how that's the reason why he remains Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. He keeps defeating people like Kyle Fletcher, like Roderick Strong, and he goes out there and he's ready to fight 1,010%. It was kind of crazy. You've seen the Beast Mortos kind of out like wrestling a lot lately. Like even Don Callis was talking about how impressive he is. Wouldn't surprise me if maybe you see like an allegiance between, maybe the Beast Mortos is kind of like the attack dog of the Don Callis family. Would be interesting to see how that kind of goes moving forward. Then you saw Camille. Camille, obviously, Mercedes Monet's new attack dog. In the squash match, obviously she was able to pick up the victory. Mariah May backstage had an interview with Renee Paquette. She basically stated how AEW is the eat or be eaten kind of world, and I think it's my turn to eat. Tony Storm always told Mariah May that, do the best you can because out in this world, they're going to eat you alive. So then she said, hey, then it's kind of my turn to eat. So, Mariah May, the glamour, coming after timeless Tony Storm's AEW World Women's Championship at All In at Wembley Stadium in London. Lastly, we have the main event. We had Hangman Adam Page for the first time fighting with Darby Allin. Both of these guys were kind of the trailblazers. They kind of started it all. They started with the company and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's kind of crazy how it took them this long to finally have a match. But thanks to Adam Page's cockiness, thanks to his overly stimulated mind. I'm just kidding, no. But Darby Allin was able to pick up the victory. When the lights went out, I guaranteed I thought there was gonna be a beatdown. I was like, okay, great. Hangman Adam Page ends up, hanging out and being a member of the elite. Didn't really see Matthew and Nicholas Jackson too much in this episodes, the EVPs and stuff like that. Thought that was a little strange. No Kazuchika Okada, not really, didn't really see Jack Perry in the back as well. Kind of crazy. But at the end of the night, you had Darby Allin with the roll up defeating the Hangman Adam Page. So I thought it was a pretty good episode overall of AEW Dynamite. Definitely recommend, checking out some highlights, giving it an extra look. So, hey, gotta be honest, it was pretty awesome. All right, guys, we've got done with that first segment. Moving on to our second segment, we're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview, TNA Impact, Ring of Honor, Honor Club. We're going to talk about it all here when we come back. So, hey, stay tuned.